Okay, so I'm going to just jump right into it with you guys here. Like I said, you've got your catalog of all the 6 forms done. Those were these. Those are the line work, the sets of line work that we exported to AutoCAD. Um, Now we're basically going to go through a process of selecting the most interesting ones or the ones that fit our design the best, and we're going to place them on site to actually begin to model around it. So I'm going to look at this in perspective real quick and just pick 2 that are going to communicate well, I think. So the first, actually, in fact, I think I'm going to go with the second one and maybe this 4th one. Okay, so it's pretty simple. The design process, you basically just plug and play. So we went through the rapid prototyping exercise where we just started folding these things into a bunch of different forms. And I grabbed this one, and I will, because these are all separate surfaces that I folded, group it by doing the group command. So that means that when I click it, it selects the entire family of surfaces, and they are still individual surfaces. They're not joined, they're grouped in case I need to get back into it and rotate it more later on. Okay, so at that point I can simply, with project on, start moving it into place. So while I don't need to actually grab a particular point, I like to. And so I'm looking at this over the surface of my model, and let me turn my surfaces on. And it actually presents kind of an interesting configuration, right? So I have essentially a surface or a couple of different types of surfaces that are kind of creating some enclosure. I'm looking at it this way, saying this is creating enclosure inside the space, and then this one is actually kind of creating some closure outside of the space, which is really intriguing to me. So I like that as a designer. And so this one is the one that I'm going to move forward. So I'm going to make sure that at least all of the wall pieces are inside the overall surface. And I know that for those of you who are in the design class, this is going kind of way far outside the boundary of what Iggy allows. Okay, again, this is not the design class. We're just kind of looking at rapid prototyping and ideas. Um, so I don't actually want or need this bottom surface right now. I'm going to just build up architectural conditions around it. So I'm going to ungroup and then take this one off. And then select those surfaces again to regroup. Okay, so your conditions, because we did these all slightly differently, are going to be different. So to just kind of get us started, I'm going to pull this one off to the side just along the y-axis, which is the green axis for me, just so I can drop my second one in so that we can really begin to look at our rapid prototyping a little bit better. So I'll group that one because I like it. I like it a little bit. I'm going to put it into the site and start to look at that one. So now this one creates kind of an interesting condition as well. Sorry, Z. If you have camera issues and you're not rotating around the object, type in ZS and it'll zoom to that object and then you can rotate around it. So this one I actually kind of like as well because if my buses are going to be coming around here, they can pull in over this side and they've got the entire site open. And then I've got enclosure on this side. And I also have this kind of really interesting upper deck outdoor area, which is sort of fascinating to me. So, and again, I can take this thing and ungroup it, get rid of the bottom surface, and then group it again. Okay, so what I've done is I've essentially just taken the properties of 2 of my favorite shells, and then I need to go through, well, that's a design process in and of itself, but then I need to go through the process of prepping it to actually begin to, create thickness in the walls and then, create curtain walls and enclosure and envelope and all this other stuff that we've already been learning. So What I'd like to have you guys do is get to a point where you've selected two of your folded surfaces. You've put it on the site, analyzed real quickly, kind of like what I did, but not much further, um, what you like about it, and then put it off to the side so that, or leave one on, but pull one off to the side so that we can play around with it a little bit further. Okay, so this is not going to be the type of lesson where I tell you step by step what we need to do. Remember, now we're transitioning out of step by step instructions to more task driven, self-motivated lists of instructions and methods and ways of getting to the result that you want. What questions do you have?
So, is this? I'm confused about what this is for. Is this for the like terminal or the over?
This is for the terminal. Or, well, it could be for both. I approached mine as if it's for both.
Okay.
So if you see here, like, I'm looking at this under here and I'm thinking I could create interior enclosure out of that for the people. All the while, if the buses pull around over here, it also has some enclosure for some of the bus loading, just by the nature of what I've folded. Make sense? But it doesn't have to be. If I had one that was small enough, like this one, could just be for the terminal, because it would only fit on one side of the site.
But we're not. Are we thinking about like where the buses are going, or not really?
Yeah, so we've already done the analysis essentially. And so what we're trying to, you guys recall the sketches that we did, the basic analysis, and we didn't go that far into it. We're just kind of trying to understand, spatial relationships and volumes on the site. Um, Now we're just trying to find something that we've rapid prototyped that kind of fits our objective. And so for me, I was kind of looking at this splitting of the site down the center line with two different types of enclosure that spans. And then we can play around with it later. Make sense? Okay.